Welcome to Books Under Your Bed. I'm Wesley McCraw, and today I wanted to do a quick review of A Conspiracy of Truths by Alexandra Rowland. A lot of reviews on BookTube either are glowing or they are rants about how bad a book is and how much the reader did not like it. Obviously, this draws more attention from viewers. It's more entertaining. But I think it's important to put out reviews that aren't necessarily as polarizing. I think that a lot of people could like A Conspiracy of Truth more than I did. So even though this isn't a glowing recommendation, maybe by talking about it, I will find people who find the idea interesting and will like it more than I did. A Conspiracy of Truth is a fantasy novel about a chant, and what a chant is a person who goes around the world collecting stories, learning about people. Anyways, this chant goes into this new country he hasn't been in. It's sort of a dreary, cold place. He gets accused of witchcraft and arrested, and the country's legal system is something he doesn't really understand. The country has a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy. He's soon charged with other charges, such as being a spy because he knows things about other countries. And he's trapped in a jail cell for most of the book. He can tell stories, so he tries to use stories to win his way or manipulate the rulers of the country and win his way to freedom. The book has like a humorous tone. It's in first person, and the chant is a charismatic character, but he's definitely an anti-hero, and that's where I started to have a problem with the book. I'm not a huge fan of anti-heroes unless I feel very compelled by their reasoning, and the reasoning of this anti-hero is mostly just to save himself. So he's willing to sacrifice a lot of other people's safety and well-being to save himself. But it's still a very interesting idea of a main character who can only, his only sort of weapon is the stories he tells. Another part of the book is that it's interspersed with stories that people tell. My problem with these stories is that most of them are variations on classic stories and putting them in to this fictional fantasy setting. The setting is very well imagined, but I was never very compelled by the stories just because a lot of those classic stories I was never compelled by them that much to begin with. So even though he's this master storyteller, I was never moved or impressed by the stories he tells. On top of this, the book is very limited by the main character's ability to know what's going on because he's trapped in a jail cell. So a lot of the important events of the story you hear kind of secondhand or brief summaries because he doesn't know what's going on. I didn't find this a very compelling explanation for why he doesn't tell what's happening in other places, because he's a chant whose only job is to tell stories third hand, so why isn't he telling this story third hand about the important events? I'm not quite sure. I won't ruin what happens later on in the story, but for me, I wasn't necessarily satisfied with how things played out. One of the things that I loved about the story, though, was its gay character that is charming and fun, and I'm excited to read the sequel to this book because it stars that character. And the sequel might make the anti-hero and the events of the first book mean more, and then I might like this book more than I originally did, but I'll have to see if once I read the second one. That's some of my thoughts on A Conspiracy of Truth. If you found the concepts and ideas of this book interesting and you're more interested in reading about an anti-hero than I am, then you might enjoy it more than I did. So that's my ramble about Conspiracy of Truth. I will have another review soon, probably more structured than this, but these are the ideas that I have about the book I just read for my book club. Thanks for listening.